Hi, it's Timothy Carlson here, and today we're going back to the world of Indiana Jones. Earlier this year, we got the fifth and presumably final film in this series, and it's now made its way to 4K Ultra High Def. The movie we're looking at today is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This is the Best Buy exclusive 4K Steelbook release of the film. I am going to unbox this release, and of course, I will share my opinions. Nice close-up there of Indy's hat and Archimedes' dial. Backing card actually has a little advert for the Steelbook there. There's the top of the backing card. Back of the backing card. Here's the back of the Steelbook, which sort of continues the artwork from the front. If you fold these open, it's sort of a panoramic image. I really like the way that looks. There is a digital code of the film as well as an ad for Movies Anywhere on the back. We then have our two discs. The 4K Ultra High Def release of the film, and then the Blu-ray release of the film. Underneath there we have our panoramic Steelbook art, this featuring one of the chase scenes from the film. That looks very nice. And I'll read the description of the film from the backing card. Harrison Ford returns to the role of the legendary hero archaeologist Indiana Jones for this highly anticipated final installment of the iconic franchise, a big, globe-trotting, rip-roaring adventure. Of course, that description doesn't say much about the film, because I think Lucasfilm always likes to try to avoid spoilers when it comes to their productions. I mean, look at the trailer for any Star Wars movie. The trailers say almost nothing about the plot. And I guess it's kind of the same way with Indy, if you think about it. I was very happy, albeit somewhat pessimistic, to see Harrison Ford return to one of his most famous roles. I didn't know that we really needed another Indy film, as Kingdom of the Crystal Skull didn't really leave me wanting more. But I am happy to say this fifth and final installment actually is a pretty solid film. There are a lot of rumors out there and negative comments calling this movie woke, and for the life of me, I just can't really see why. I've watched the movie from start to finish, 2 or 3 times now, and I have to say, to me, it feels like a grand story in the tradition of earlier Indiana Jones films, of course set later in his life. I mean, I don't know why people called this woke, because there's a strong, independent, sassy female character, because there's a lot of ethnic diversity in the film, because there's a young sidekick. I've got news for the people calling this woke. These are not new things in the Indiana Jones franchise. And I have to say, overall, I was very happy with the film. The best part of the movie, of course, is its opening 20 minutes, featuring a de-aged Harrison Ford back in 1944, going against the Nazis, probably his most noteworthy enemies, and of course, having to rescue another man who's doing these same studies, portrayed by Toby Jones. And of course, in true Indy fashion, everything is chaotic, pretty much wrong at every turn. The bulk of the movie takes place in 1969 with a much older Indiana Jones as our main character. Harrison Ford was 81 years old when they made this film, and it was amazing to get to see him come back to the role one last time. And it certainly starts out with him becoming the crotchety old man, estranged from his wife, and of course, not too happy with his position. He's retiring from the university and wants to get away from all the things that have caused him trouble, but it's not long before he's whisked away on one last adventure, searching for Archimedes' dial, which can supposedly detect fissures in time. And he finds a surviving Nazi scientist portrayed by Mads Mikkelsen, who of course wants to use this device to go back in time and change the shape of the world into his own image. There are a lot of characters in this film, of course, some of which don't really get the most screen time. An expert diver and boat owner played by Antonio Banderas gets some great scenes, but unfortunately he's out of the film almost as quickly as he's in it. Probably the biggest disappointment of this movie is that although Marion Ravenwood and Sala do appear in this film, it's essentially glorified cameos. They're barely in the movie at all. It would have been nice if we could have gotten Sala to go along with Indy on his last adventure. But overall, I am happy to say that the execution here certainly outweighs what you might expect based on some of the reviews and negative comments. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who plays the daughter of Indy's old archaeological partner from the World War II days, does an excellent job, and she's a snarky, sassy, fun female lead, certainly in the tradition of some of the other women that we've seen in this franchise, but I mean that in a good way, of course. And then you have Ethan Isidore, a young man who portrays a youthful ally to Indy. I will admit this kid's no short round, but he actually does a pretty good job with what he has. Surprisingly, Steven Spielberg did not come back to direct the fifth and final installment, instead putting James Mangold into the director's chair. Mangold's previous directorial credits, of course, include Logan, Ford vs. Ferrari, and the remake of 3:10 to Yuma, all of which were excellent movies in their own right. But I am happy to say that John Williams returned to score the film. John Williams, at the time I'm recording this video, is 91 years old, and it's great to see him back in the saddle as well, giving us the perfect score to go along with Indy's final adventure. It is a film that does manage to pack in a few surprises, particularly in its final few moments and scenes. You really have to see it to know what I mean. One thing I do want to point out, the Shia LaBeouf character, Mutt Williams, does not return in this film, although there is some dialogue that explains his absence. I won't spoil that here. Overall, despite what a lot of people out there are saying, I had a lot of fun with Indy's fifth and final adventure. I don't know exactly what people were expecting, but for me, it was a fantastic film. Certainly not in the same league as the classic Indy trilogy, but certainly a step up from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Of course, I am happy to see that Disney is still putting out physical releases of their products, even though the film is available for streaming on Disney+. But this is a beautiful looking 4K disc that just absolutely gorgeously presents the film. I'm happy to say that it looks beautiful from start to finish. From those scenes in 1944 Germany, to Italy, to Greece, to the Middle East, there's a little bit of everything in this movie, and it all looks fantastic on this 4K disc. And of course, we do get a handful of bonus features. It's pretty slim, but we do get a score-only track for the movie on both the Blu-ray and the 4K. Any movie that has a John Williams score should have this option. And then on the Blu-ray, we get a 5-part making of EPK featurette, which runs about an hour in length. Being a longtime Indy fan, I had a lot of fun watching that. Even if it's not the deepest stuff to watch, I still was pretty entertained by that, and I think fans will want to check that out at least once. So, overall, it's certainly a fun film. The picture quality is gorgeous, and I wish there were a little more in the way of bonus features, but the score-only track and the EPK featurette are quite interesting, and they'll be worth it for the fans. So, I give this a very high recommendation. Your opinion may vary. As I said before, there are mixed reviews of the film going around, but overall, I certainly enjoyed it. Were you a fan of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? What do you think the best film in the series is? Do you think Indy is Harrison Ford's greatest role? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content, as I'm always posting new videos, and make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm T.O.T. Carlson. See you next time.